what happens in Mexico ends in tears. This is the Real Housewives After Show of Dallas. Yes.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey.
Another week in paradise, another week in Mexico.
Oh,
we are back, guys. What's going on? It's your girl, RhelinT. I'm here with my girl, Erika D.
What's up, party people?
My housewives queen. My reality TV queen. She knows it all.
Yes.
But guys, this is the season 4, episode 4, Trash Talk. And I was wondering why this episode was because you know every episode of the Real Housewives franchise is always like cutesy and quirky and
right.
you know.
Absolutely.
But I was like, trash talk? Like, this is... But now, when we get into this episode, we'll definitely see why. So, first of all, your girl, Deandra, she came through this episode. I'm not even going to lie. She came through. She was very fun. I liked her.
This is the new 50. You know what I mean? Like, Cynthia Bailey was all about this is 50. And Deandra's like, I'm 50. I'm going to let it all hang out. And I love you for it, girl. You know what I'm saying? You might not have no money next month. So live your best life.
She was my favorite this episode, honestly. That is my team player. But let's get into this episode. So when we start off, Leanne doesn't want to go on this exercise. Now she's saying that like she's older, and she's saying, you know, don't let the Botox and filler fool you. She is not about to go climb up no steps in Mexico. She don't care where she is. She's not doing it. So she's still a little bit negative Nancy in the beginning, not trying to enjoying the fun. But she does go to the meditation. What was it called? The bowl.
The big bowl.
The big bowl. She goes to the Super Bowl.
Yes. The Super Bowl
to
of meditation bowls.
Yes. And she goes to the polo meet. So I guess, you know, early in the morning, I guess she wasn't into the hike. So, okay, Leanne, you set that out. But in that time, you know, Carrie is trying to make an effort to get Leanne to open up a little more, feel a little bit more comfortable. And Brandi tells Carrie, like, look, Leanne, we've known her for this long amount of time. She's always been negative. This is just her. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. You're doing great, but this is just how she is. She's always going to be negative like this, kind of foreshadowing, I guess, basically next episode of how Leanne spirals, and giving her a little insight of how Leanne opened up about her childhood to Carrie so right off the bat. Something so personal, sensitive. She just told her at dinner, someone who she's not even trying to room with. So we have that.
I definitely feel like what she said at dinner was to clearly, I think, to shut the conversation down, or kind of put Carrie in her place, as opposed to revealing something deep and personal to you, which I think is why it ended up triggering Stephanie and having all these repercussions with some of the other girls, because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not having fun this trip, I might kill myself. Like, what are you talking about? And then to be like, oh yeah, because I was molested 3 times a week and twice on Saturday. Whatever she said was like so ridiculous, and honestly, I could see it be very offensive to people who were the same victims that she herself was. So
yeah, especially like Stephanie, and you know, delving more into her mental space and where she's at, I feel as though I commend her for always having that brave face on every time we see her. She's always such the person of joy and light. We've never seen her be the mean girl, I guess, in this group.
Very true.
And so for someone to be dealing with all those dark demons that she's facing with, and always coming to the plate ready to have fun and ready to have a good time and diffuse any drama, I just don't understand why Leanne can't take some notes.
Exactly.
Do the same.
Although I will say this, though, I do feel like to some extent, if you go on a vacation with a group of women, the whole point is like, you're not my babysitter. I don't have to do everything that's on your itinerary if it's a vacation. So like I totally agree. You know, she was a negative Nancy, but like, yeah, I want to sleep. I don't want to work out. Like, I don't feel like that's a thing. Like, you know.
Yeah, I just think maybe because she wasn't a team player for everything else, this was just more fuel to the fire for them as though.
Exactly.
Because if she would have done something else and then said,
right. I mean, I agree with you on that, but I think that Carrie has she seemed to almost have the expectation that everybody was going to do everything. Whereas I kind of like those trips where it's like, okay, this group is going to go do this, and that group, they don't like each other, let them go do that, and because they like each other, and not forcing everyone to do everything, honestly.
Yeah. So let's get to the meat of this situation. So D'Angelo, like I said, your girl, she on this rant, and at dinner about Leanne and Carrie diffusing their beef, getting their drama resolved. And do you think, even though she's drunk, did she have any validity in saying that they should have hashed their beef in front of everybody? Or do you think that Leanne and Carrie should have hashed it out to the side?
I'm 50-50 on it. I agree that she has a point that when you talk behind closed doors, then obviously Carrie's going to tell all her friends, well, this is what happened, exactly kind of what happened with Brandi and Kameron. They apologized, and then Brandi said, well, I didn't believe it. So, yeah. I mean, I think that there's a valid point to that if you say it in front of the girls, then there's in front of the group, since a lot of the things were originally said in front of the group as a whole, then I do feel like she has a point, but I feel like it's not really her place. It's up to them to decide how they want to, resolve it, really.
Yeah. So then Carrie's apology, I like Carrie. I feel that she's her own individual. You get girls on, or these girls on the show, these women on the show, and they do either get very cliquey, or they tend to go in the direction of whoever their friend of the show is. But Carrie has made her own relationship with Kameron, which I was in the beginning wondering how that was going to be because of Kameron's relationship with Leanne, and they seem to vibe really well. I'm glad about that, and I'm glad that she took accountability for the way that she made Leanne feel, even though if she may not truly feel she did anything wrong, her apologizing to Leanne anyway, knowing that this is the type of person that you're probably just going to have to be the bigger person with in order to move anywhere in any direction. So I like that. But then when we go to Leanne and her, responding to Carrie, her saying that she felt that Carrie saying, "This is my room," was intended to push her out and made her feel not welcome in the home. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and this is one of those times where I really do give the shout out to Stephanie, because Stephanie was like, no, she didn't say it like that. I was there. And because to me, honestly, I love Stephanie. I think she's very sweet, but she has a tendency to be a little meeker, and I think I've said this in prior seasons, almost weak to me. And it's nice to see when she finally takes the time to kind of stand up and be like, no, this is, I feel differently. Whereas I think even when Carrie was, Carrie made definitive, I want to have my relationship with the person and make a decision based on what they did to me or what happened between us. And so I think it's nice to see Stephanie kind of stand up and be like, well, no, I was there. She didn't say it like that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that part about it. And I don't think she said it like that. So I think that really Leanne was sort of reaching for something to make herself right in this situation.
Yeah, make herself feel a victim for sure. Because, like I said, I didn't see anything wrong with saying this is my room. And then speaking of rooming, then Kameron puts her piece in about how the girls need to be more vocal about making friends outside of the cliques that they have. But
I don't know. I mean, okay.
But she's friends with Leanne. She trying to room with Leanne, but she's the one being so headstrong about we need to use our voices as women.
Well, Kameron,
we need to stick together.
If you're gonna use your voice, let's have an opinion, okay? Because Kameron is like with somebody one week. Whoever Kameron is with, that's kind of like what she's riding with. So she's never or the same things that she thinks Leanne is so great and we so relatable, but then she's gonna call Brandi trash. And she's always had this sort of double standard where, you know, if Brandi does something it's so horrible and then Leanne does something crazy, but Leanne just tickles me. You know, like, I don't know. Kameron is very, I think, wishy-washy to me. So for her to say that and she's in a clique, I find hilarious.
And Brandi is holding her accountable and saying, okay, well, if you feel that way, then why were you... Because when you look back at the clip, I feel as though Kameron did kind of push Brandi and Stephanie in a room. Like, you guys want a room together anyway. It seems as though you're already kind of writing this off, like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm gonna stay with Leanne, and you're gonna be with Stephanie, so it's fine. Okay, girl, you the main one talking about everybody needs to branch out and find their own friends and do their own thing.
Exactly. Brandi checked her like, well, why didn't you say that then? Why are you saying it now? Now that we all in a room, now that I got a room with the messy drunk, why didn't you say something earlier? That's really what Brandi wanted to say. Because I might not have ended up with D'Andra as you said something. So
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, you know, and which is valid, because that's the thing. I think Kameron, sometimes she says things to me that's of the moment. It's not really what she thinks, or I don't know really what she thinks, but or maybe she always changing her mind. I don't know, but it's something. I don't feel like a lot of her stuff is really based in her beliefs. I think it's just sort of, this will make me look good now, and so I'm gonna say it. And you know, and this was also very true, because you know, she never stood up to Leanne and said anything when she saw Leanne was wrong. So it's like, all right, Kameron.
And to our viewers in the live chat, Red Sox Sarah says, I like Carrie. Leanne was being a brat. Carrie is a good person, not to threaten to throw her off the cliff.
That is very nice. Thank you, Carrie.
That's nice. And then we have Angela Sessions in the chat. She says that, I hate to say it, but I think that Leanne is using her past for attention.
Yeah, and that's the part that's very challenging, because I think she's using it in a way so that as soon as she's losing an argument, she starts talking about being molested, growing up in a carnival, her mama abandoned her. She pulls as soon as she starts to lose an argument, that's what she goes for, because she knows it shuts everybody down, because ain't nobody gonna say anything.
And the package that they had of her from like 2 years ago, bringing up all the tea about
Shout out to the producers. Great job with the editing. Fabulous. I was like, yes, thank you. Cut to the 85 million times where she talks about, and it's not, and that's the thing. It's like, you don't feel comfortable criticizing it, but in my heart, I feel anybody who watched the show knows that she's not revealing it from a place of purity. She's revealing it in a place to really have an advantage in an argument, which seems crazy and silly to me.
Yeah, because, you know, forgive me if I'm wrong, I feel like we just came to learn about Stephanie's mental health from last season.
Yeah, now that was one sort of authentic moment between her and Leanne that I totally appreciated, and that's when you first learned about her attempts, and that's when I think that kind of gave a deeper perspective, because I always was like, you know, Stephanie, get a backbone.
Yeah.
And then finally when you realize the trauma that she actually is dealing with, and this is probably how she chooses to kind of get through it, is to be sort of the nice sweet blonde girl.
And that made me so sad too.
So
and they asked her, why do you put that brave face on all the time? And she was like, because nobody wants to be around someone who's sad. Nobody wants to be around that person. So
right. And so, you know, so that did, I think, really show a different side and a more authentic side to Stephanie.
Definitely, because
really
now
nice.
I can see that when she is trying to mend these relationships, it's not just for show. It's really because this is who she genuinely is. So I love Stephanie.
Me too.
But back to Kameron, though. You know, well, we're talking about her not really coming from a place of, you know, or saying things that really don't, you know, she's just saying it in the moment. What we do know about her is profanity is really her trigger. Profanity is really a trigger for her.
Or if you come after her with a dildo. Those two things
are just so, like, you know, D'Andra got, you know, the money issues, Leanne got the husband, but like dildos and her for profanity is just, no, that's her trigger.
Oh my God.
I can't believe it. Because what I really tried to rewind this again. She just dropped an F-bomb, Brandi?
Yes.
What was
you don't say an F-bomb in front of my face. No. Yeah.
You're trash.
And we all know that the white is understood. Don't get it twisted. We all know the white is understood. It's silent, but it's still there, boo. And she knows it too.
She does.
Because she knows in her heart, she wants to say, you're just white trash. But she knows white people watch the show. So that's why she doesn't say it. But we all know the real on that. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Kameron. And the thing is that she's called her this last season. Oh, not last. Yeah, was it last season or 2 seasons ago?
Yeah. She's called her trash before. And probably a few. I think the editors were just tired because I think it's been more than once.
Yeah, they were like,
because I know there was one time, because there's been a couple times where she felt that Brandi was just such a trashy influence on Deandra. And she said that like several times, I want to say, I think. Anyway, so...
And like she's saying that because they come from the society. The society would never be around trash.
Or, I mean, she's saying it because, like, that's what she thinks. And that's what she's always thought about, definitely about Brandi. I mean, I think she's probably cutting, but that's the part that I don't understand. Because I was like, even when she first met Brandi, I think from the beginning, she's always felt this way. And it's like... But Leanne is from a carnival, boo. Like, why?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the difference?
That's why I have an issue with Carmen. Because with Kameron.
Yeah.
Because she gives Leanne a pass on things that she definitely holds against Brandi from the beginning. So maybe...
Is it did Leanne's contribution to society, erase her past?
Just because, maybe it's because Leanne is a great promoter for charities, or it's because Leanne is also older and not a threat to her, and Brandi is young and cute and coming up. I don't know, but clearly she
not afraid to get
wear her little bikini and show you that body. So I don't know. It could be, who knows? But she definitely, I feel like, comes harder at Brandi for some of the same things that are truly very true about Leanne as well.
Yeah, and then to me, I feel that if she's gonna call her trash, then throwing a napkin in somebody's face is trash too. So
very much so. All right, you guys, before we move on to our next topic, I just want to say thank you guys so much for making us the ESPN of TV talk. And for us to continue to grow, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, all that stuff. Leave comments. Give us 5 stars if you're listening to us on the podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you so much for being part of AfterBuzz. It's meant so much to us and giving us a chance to do the things that we truly love. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. Thank you guys.
Yes, y'all.
Yeah, and if you're watching right now, why aren't you liking? Because you're already watching it. Like, you're here anyway. Just hit the like button. Just do a thumbs
up. So yes. Speaking of things that we like I said, Deandra being drunk this episode added so much comedic relief throughout the night, especially when she's having this talk at the table with Leanne, and Leanne is like, okay, well, come on, we gotta go in the van.
No, okay, so here's the thing, I was 50-50 because it's like, because I know what it's like to be the sober person around drunk people or high people. Like, it's the worst. However, when someone says, look, you should do something, you say, is that what you're trying to say? That is rude. I'm sorry. I was like, that's kind of mean.
That was,
and Deandra was like, look, that's not nice, Leanne. In my drunken stupor, I still know that that's a dig.
I know.
Leanne was just like, so maybe she could have lightened it up so it was like a joke or something.
Oh my, no. Leanne was acting too irritated. So yeah, she was like, okay, so you ready to go in a van? Deanna said, oh really? There's a van? Okay. She's like, yeah, we came here in a van. She's like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
And just started dying laughing out of nowhere.
First of all, shout out to Spanx. Deandra, I love you, girl. I love you. Because I too wear Spanx. So I am here with you because it's nice to see people on TV that also wear Spanx. Girl.
Look, she had no shame. She was
happy
showing
to show
them
to the world. Like,
she was showing on a bus, showing them in the sand. She was giving an ad for Spanx on the show unintentionally.
I was like, okay, Bravo. We see your ad placement.
And I must say that I loved the white dress that she had on with the pins in her hair and one of her confessionals. She looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Deandra, okay, girl, I see you this episode. All right. You can get down with the rest of them.
She let loose, and I'm not gonna lie, it was funny, but also irritating. So it's like it was hilarious, but I can see how everybody's like, okay, Deandra, just go to bed, girl. Like, don't say anything, just go to bed.
I felt guilty because I have been on the other side where I'm like, I'm not even drunk. Like, I am so sober. Like, I'm getting mad because people are not thinking. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, no, you're not. And like me seeing somebody else being drunk with them, I'm like, damn. There's probably have been some times.
Girl, have been times. Definitely this summer. And I was in Barbados, girl. I was like, no, I'm not drunk. My heels are just high. I didn't mean to fall on my face. I'm not drunk. I swear
so
I'm not
defensive.
drunk.
Like, no.
I know you think I'm drunk, but I am not drunk.
There's a van. Okay.
Yeah, sure there is. Whatever. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then shout out to Deandra. See, girl, you don't quite have rhythm yet, but you're working on it, and that's why you can't get better if you don't practice. So I liked her little lap dance for Stephanie. It was hilarious.
Love the lap dance for Stephanie.
Or just a lap dance. She wasn't on her
really
lap.
Good in that bathing suit.
She was on the bed, and Stephanie was like, I think she wants to sleep with me. But Stephanie did not say it in a negative way.
Oh my God.
Stephanie was like, if I wasn't married.
Bring it on, D. Bring it on, D.
Yes.
It's a new D.
New D in town for sure. Yes.
So, should we get into some predictions or should we get into our little tweets? So what we got? Let's see. It looks like it's tweet time.
Yes, let's start off with some tweets, you guys. Because, I thought these tweets, although I did not agree with all of them, they were very interesting. So this is from A Working Wardrobe. Wait, hold on. Okay, wait a minute. We have to listen to Brandi's white trash struggle, but Leanne can't talk about her childhood trauma of physical abuse. Oh, okay. The cognitive dissonance.
Whoa.
Okay. I think that
I don't think it's this.
I think it's a little different. I mean, I see their point because
Leanne is she's just spewing it, okay?
Right.
She's just spewing it. Whenever you say something you don't like, she's like, well, this happened to me. This happened to me.
Exactly.
Brandi
this actually seems a very authentic moment for Brandi, which really, she didn't just talk about, because clearly we know she didn't have the same upbringing as some of the other girls, but this was the first time she really revealed why it truly does trigger her. So I do think there's a difference there. Okay, definitely. Let's see. Moving on. This is Burgundy Hugh Lou. Okay, Burgundy Lou. Brandi Redmond, good for you clearing up the words that Cam Westcott uses against you. Teaching people how to treat you is hard work. Yeah, I like the fact that she came back at Kameron about it. It was interesting because Kameron never really apologized, because I think Kameron still thinks it. So she was like, what you did was trashy. I didn't really call you trashy. Kameron, we all know you called her trashy.
And I like that Carrie said white trash. She's like, white trash.
Exactly. And
then it was, not. I said trash. Like, okay, well, girl, basically, we know what you meant to say.
We know white trash is understood. Yes, we all know.
Okay, honey, we know.
All right. Mujer Bella 13. I'm getting a headache because Cam is a lady and Brandi is a trash bag who refuses to admit she's a trash bag. Hashtag RHOD.
I don't think Brandi's trashy to me. I think that she just has a good time.
I mean, she's a little loose, but I don't feel like you can call anybody trash. And who are you really? And I was like, Cam, we need to see more of your history because you married up yourself. So stop it with all of that.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that Kameron is somewhat a lady, but I don't think that Brandi's trash. She's just a little wild child. Let's see. Okay. This is from Dashund Alcoholic. Are they competing for who can be the biggest victim this episode? Brandi pot calling the kettle black. You guys are coming hard for Brandi in the tweets this time. Although I do agree with you on the victim stuff. I feel like everybody, Kameron, everybody is sort of playing that victim card this episode.
I think it's what it is if you haven't lived through it, which is what is one of the things that is happening right now in our society, if you haven't lived through it, then you don't understand. So for people, they might be insensitive to this, what they think might be minimal for Brandi, this word, but it's a big deal for her. And I'm not to say how this word may affect her because I haven't lived through it.
Exactly.
You know?
And I felt like she was being authentic, although I felt Kameron and Leanne were a little questionable. All right, so we're going to wrap this one up with, I love Steph's pajamas. Me too. I was like, they are so cute. So that was like my favorite tweet, and the one tweet I actually do agree with. Her PJs were off the chain.
They were cute.
Good job. All right, you guys. So what we'll do, before we do predictions, let's do some news and gossip.
Oh, yes.
And this is pretty cool.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so one thing is, I don't know which article is going to come up first, but okay, so this one is actually Leanne was in town this week for the this function that they have at the Abbey where they're raising funds for children in LA, like, poor kids or whatever. So we did not get a chance to have her on the show, so we're very devastated because I know that RhelinT likes her. No, I'm just joking. I like her too. I'm totally joking. I love you, Leanne. These are just jokes, girl.
Leanne.
I'm a comedian, girl. I do like you, and I would have loved to have you here. So the next time you're at the Abbey, girl, come on through to NoHo because we're here. All right, and then the next article, speaking of Leanne, this is the Leanne news week, but the next article is about Leanne actually, it turns out that, I guess we'll find this out later on in the season, but Carrie is not invited to Leanne's wedding, and Leanne says, well, her invitation got lost in the mail. So, Leanne, you're good with the excuses, but not very good. So, all right, you guys.
And Erika said last episode she'll help you out with one. Okay?
Exactly. Just holla at a sister. But lost in the mail is, that's not that great, but that's almost like a dig without, well, basically it is a dig. So, but yeah, so, sadly, we're not going to see Carrie or her husband, Eduardo, at Leanne's wedding this season, apparently. So there's that.
Well, I guess we can get into some AfterBuzz TV predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Alrighty. Okay.
So, Brandi and Leanne, they really didn't get into it. They were about to tonight at the table, especially when Brandi was going to assert herself about Carrie and Leanne's relationship. So, I'm thinking that maybe either that's going to come up, either Brandi's going to assert herself again, or something is going to come back to where Carrie's going to tell Leanne what Brandi has said, and so that is why they're going to get into this argument that we see is going to happen next week.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think Brandi and Leanne have never gotten back to like the one friendship that they had for those 3 weeks that she wasn't friends with Stephanie. So, and that's the thing, because I feel like every time something happens with Leanne, Brandi is always like, this is how she always been. So, and it's kind of like, that kind of is annoying. But, so I definitely feel like those two are going to go toe to toe. But I do feel like Leanne and Carrie are going to continue to kind of, like, I think they apologize, but I don't think it's real. I think they're going to continue to crumble, actually. Because I feel like she came into the show not liking Leanne, so now I think anything Leanne does is always going to be confirming why she doesn't like her to begin with. So even though she said, I want to be open, we all know she came in not liking her. So I think she's not going to change from that, at least not in the next few episodes.
Definitely let us know your predictions right now while we only have a few seconds left. But I also think, before we close the show, that all the women are definitely going to talk about Leanne using this, blame game, victim blaming that she's doing on herself. And they're going to be fed up. And that's why she's asking D'Angelo, do you think that I tell my stories like this to be the victim? She's like, And Deandra's saying no to her face, but in her confessional, she's like, yes. So I don't know.
Right. So that I saw that, and I do find that interesting because it's like, okay, Deandra, how bad do you want to be Leanne's friend again? Because it's like, you know, Deandra used to, on occasion, have a backbone. So that part, I'm like, okay, you know, someone needs to kind of talk to her about it. And I think maybe closer to the end of the season, she'll realize that this is how she's looking on the show. Yeah. You know, because it's not really a good look anyway, just generally speaking, for her to just be so flippant about it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, guys, that about does it for us for tonight's episode. Make sure to watch us next Wednesday. As always, I'm your host, RhelinT. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at RhelinT. Erika, let the people know where they can find you.
All right, party people, I am your host, Erika D. Edwards. You can catch me Sunday nights for the third part of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion this Sunday, or you can follow me on my social media at Erika, Erika D as in door, Edwards. Ciao for now.
Hey, and follow all things AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Founder Keven Undergaro and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.